The Order of the Dragon, by Lord Kabura's Magic Haven. Introduction. The Order of the Dragon was one of those secret societies that you rarely hear about, but whose actions left deep imprints on European history. Formed in the early 15th century, around 1408, the order was founded by King Sigismund of Hungary. At the time, Christian Europe was under threat from the expanding Ottoman Empire, and rulers were desperate to protect their kingdoms and their faith. Sigismund, sensing this danger, established the order not only to fight off the Ottomans but to also unite and protect his allies. But here's where things get more intriguing. This wasn't just some regular knightly order, where warriors would ride into battle with swords. The Order of the Dragon was steeped in symbolism and mystery. Members were bound by an oath to protect Christendom and swear loyalty, but there was more beneath the surface. The dragon symbol itself represented a dual nature, protection and destruction. These men saw themselves as protectors of their people but were ready to destroy any enemies, both external and internal, who threatened their way of life. What made the order so unique was its exclusive membership, limited to only the most powerful and influential figures of the time. Kings, princes, and nobles were invited to join, but not without taking a solemn vow of secrecy. This exclusivity, along with their cryptic rituals, contributed to the aura of mystery surrounding them. The dragon emblem was worn as a badge of honor but also remind us of the dangerous path its members walked, treading between loyalty and bloodshed. One famous name that often comes up when discussing the Order of the Dragon is Vlad III, better known as Vlad the Impaler or, to the world, Dracula. Yes, the real historical figure who inspired Bram Stoker's vampire legend was a proud member of this secret society, and his ferocious defense against the Ottomans gave rise to his dark and fearsome reputation. But Vlad wasn't the only one. The order boasted a lineage of members who shaped European politics, both in the open and behind closed doors. Understanding the Order of the Dragon opens the door to a hidden chapter of history. You see, this was more than just a medieval group of knights. It was a carefully crafted organization that played a significant role in shaping European geopolitics during a critical time. Why does it matter today? Because the events and decisions made by these men echo through time. The alliances they built, the wars they fought, and even the secret rituals they conducted impacted royal dynasties and shifted the balance of power in Europe. Think about this: the actions of the order, which were often hidden from the public eye, influenced the survival of empires, the rise of monarchs, and even the cultural narratives we have today. Vlad the Impaler's story, for instance, transformed from that of a fierce leader into the legend of Dracula, a character we all know, but whose roots lie in this dark and secretive society. This book shines a light on those hidden aspects of the order, its clandestine operations, its mysterious rituals, and how these medieval elites wielded power both on the battlefield and behind closed doors. In today's world, we often think of secret societies as something for movies or conspiracy theories, but the Order of the Dragon was very real, and it shaped the history of Europe in ways we are only beginning to fully appreciate. So, what can you expect from this book? It's more than just a retelling of history. We're digging into the essence of what made the Order of the Dragon both feared and respected. We'll explore their foundation, the rituals that set them apart, and their deep political connections that allowed them to influence the course of wars, monarchies, and entire nations. In the early 15th century, Europe was a patchwork of kingdoms and empires, constantly at odds over religion, territory, and influence. It was a time of immense turmoil, with rulers fighting to protect their lands and faith. The Christian rulers of Europe, especially those in Eastern and Central Europe, were under increasing pressure from the Ottoman Empire, which was expanding rapidly into the Balkans and beyond. For many, the Ottoman threat was not just about losing territory, it was a fear of losing the very essence of their Christian identity. The Ottoman forces were powerful, disciplined, and driven by their own expansionist ambitions, which directly challenged Christian Europe's unity and sovereignty. This clash of civilizations spurred a number of rulers to seek stronger alliances with one another, especially among the monarchs of Hungary, Serbia, and other Eastern European nations. It was during this period that crusades, though already fading in the West, were still very much alive in Eastern Europe. The religious and political wars of this era created an environment where fear, faith, and power intermingled, leading to desperate measures to protect kingdoms from Ottoman advances. To survive, Christian rulers had to either form powerful alliances or perish under the pressure of Ottoman expansion. In this context, Sigismund of Luxembourg, King of Hungary and later Holy Roman Emperor, sought to unite his allies through a shared cause. But he understood that a mere military alliance would not suffice. What was needed was something deeper, a sense of purpose that would bind his allies through faith, loyalty, and a shared vision of protecting Christendom from the invading forces. This set the foundation for what would become the Order of the Dragon. In 1408, Sigismund of Luxembourg found himself at a critical moment in his reign. As the King of Hungary, he had already led several battles against the Ottomans and other threats to his kingdom. But the Ottomans were relentless, pushing deeper into Christian territories. To Sigismund, the survival of his kingdom was inextricably linked to the survival of Christendom itself. This wasn't just about borders, it was about defending an entire way of life, and for this, he needed loyal and powerful allies. To create a unified front, Sigismund founded the Order of the Dragon. This was not just another knightly order like those of the past. It was something more exclusive, more secretive, and with a far deeper sense of purpose. The members of the order were chosen from among the most powerful figures of the time, kings, princes, and high-ranking nobility. They were bound together by oaths of loyalty, not just to Sigismund, but to the idea of protecting the Christian faith and fighting against the enemies of Christendom. Sigismund's motivations went beyond the immediate threat of the Ottomans. He saw the order as a way to solidify political alliances with the most influential rulers of Europe, ensuring mutual support in times of crisis. By bringing together this elite group of rulers and warriors, Sigismund aimed to create a powerful network of Christian leaders who would stand united against any external threat. The order's founding was marked by an elaborate ceremony, filled with symbolic gestures and rituals designed to instill a sense of duty and divine purpose among its members. Each knight was sworn to defend Christianity with their lives and to remain loyal to Sigismund's cause. In return, they were granted protection, status, and a sense of belonging to something greater than themselves. This was not just a political or military alliance, it was a spiritual one, rooted in the idea that the defense of Christendom was their divine mission. One of the most well-known members of the order was Vlad II of Wallachia, also known as Vlad Dracula, due to his association with the dragon emblem of the order. His son, Vlad III, would later gain infamy as Vlad the Impaler, or Dracula, whose brutal defense of Wallachia against the Ottomans cemented his legacy and the fearsome reputation of the order. At the heart of the Order of the Dragon lay its most recognizable symbol, the dragon. But this was no mere decorative emblem. The dragon, in medieval iconography, held deep and complex meanings. To some, it symbolized chaos and destruction, a creature to be feared. To others, it represented protection and strength, a guardian of treasures, a defender of the vulnerable. Sigismund chose the dragon for his order because it embodied this dual nature. For members of the order, the dragon was both a protector and a destroyer. It symbolized their role as defenders of the Christian faith, ready to shield their people from the threat of the Ottoman Empire. But it also reminded them of the ferocity they were expected to unleash upon their enemies. Like the dragon, they were to be fierce, relentless, and unyielding in their defense of Christendom. The dragon's tail, wrapped around its body in the order's emblem, symbolized vigilance. It was a constant reminder to the members that their duty to defend the faith was never-ending. The dragon's open mouth, ready to strike, represented their readiness to confront and annihilate any who would challenge their cause. For Sigismund and his knights, the dragon was not just a symbol of war, it was a representation of their oath, their bond, and their purpose. Each member wore the emblem with pride, knowing that it signified their commitment to a cause far greater than themselves. It was both a badge of honor and a warning to their enemies. The members of the Order of the Dragon were always watching, always ready to strike in defense of Christendom. The dragon also represented loyalty, a trait highly valued within the order. Just as a dragon in myth would fiercely protect its horde, so too were the knights of the order sworn to protect their faith, their king, and their allies. Loyalty was paramount, and betrayal was unthinkable. As the order grew in prestige and power, the dragon symbol became synonymous with fearsome strength and unwavering loyalty. Those who saw the emblem of the order knew they were dealing with an elite group of warriors bound by a sacred oath, ready to fight to the death for their cause. This symbolism made the Order of the Dragon not just a political force, but a spiritual one, rooted in the ideals of protection, strength, and sacrifice. This section dives deep into the origins of the Order of the Dragon, explaining how it was born from the political and religious struggles of medieval Europe. From the motivations of Sigismund to the powerful symbolism of the dragon, we get a glimpse of how the Order's legacy was built on loyalty, ferocity, and a deep commitment to defending Christendom from its enemies. Vlad the Impaler, the real Dracula. Vlad III, often known as Vlad the Impaler, is undoubtedly the most famous member of the Order of the Dragon. His life story reads like a dark legend, but it was rooted in a fierce commitment to defending his homeland from the encroaching Ottoman Empire. Born in 1431 in what is now Romania, Vlad was the son of Vlad II Dracula, who was himself inducted into the Order of the Dragon. The Dracul title, meaning dragon in Romanian, signified his father's loyalty to the Order, a group dedicated to defending Christian Europe from external threats. Vlad grew up in a politically unstable environment, and his early years were shaped by his time as a hostage of the Ottomans, where he learned both their customs and their military tactics. When he finally ascended to power in Wallachia, his homeland, he was determined to secure his rule and prevent further Ottoman incursions. His membership in the order fueled his sense of duty, but it was his brutal methods that cemented his reputation. Vlad's reign was marked by his notorious use of impalement as a method of punishment and deterrence. His enemies, whether foreign invaders or local rivals, feared his ruthlessness. This ferocity earned him the name Vlad the Impaler, but his brutality was not merely for show. Vlad saw it as necessary to maintain control and send a clear message to the Ottomans: Wallachia would not fall easily. His loyalty to the order aligned perfectly with his actions. He viewed himself as a defender of Christendom, willing to use whatever means necessary to protect his people. However, over time, his gruesome methods would inspire something far more sinister: the legend of Dracula. Stories of Vlad's cruelty spread across Europe, but it was Bram Stoker's novel in 1897 that immortalized him as the bloodthirsty vampire, Dracula. Stoker drew from both the real history of Vlad the Impaler and the terrifying reputation that had followed him for centuries. Though Vlad's true mission was the defense of his homeland, the fear he invoked led to his transformation into one of literature's most enduring villains. King Sigismund of Luxembourg, the founder of the Order of the Dragon, was a man of immense ambition. Born into a powerful European dynasty, Sigismund's goal was to secure control over as much of Europe as possible while preserving Christian unity in the face of growing external threats. By the early 1400s, Europe was a fractured continent, with various monarchies vying for power, all while the Ottoman Empire threatened to engulf the Christian states in the east. Sigismund became king of Hungary in 1387, but his aspirations didn't stop there. He wanted to expand his influence across Europe, and he knew that to do so, he needed strong alliances. The order became his vehicle for solidifying those alliances. By founding the order, Sigismund created a brotherhood of kings, nobles, and knights who pledged their loyalty not just to him but to the defense of Christian Europe. The order's dragon emblem symbolized strength and vigilance, qualities that Sigismund believed were essential in maintaining the stability of the continent. However, Sigismund's rise to power wasn't without obstacles. His efforts to secure the crown of the Holy Roman Empire, one of Europe's most prestigious titles, took years of political maneuvering and military campaigns. He used the Order of the Dragon to bolster his position, bringing together influential figures who could help him consolidate power. Members of the order were bound by their commitment to protect Christian lands from the Ottoman threat, but Sigismund also used this network to push his own political agenda. He leveraged their influence to build alliances, subdue rivals, and eventually claimed the imperial crown in 1433. Through his leadership, the Order of the Dragon became not just a military force but a tool of diplomacy. Sigismund's legacy as a ruler was closely tied to the success of the order, and while he may not be as infamous as Vlad the Impaler, his political acumen and vision for a united Europe left a lasting mark on history. The order helped him maintain stability in Hungary and the surrounding regions, allowing him to create a buffer against Ottoman advances, at least temporarily. Sigismund's legacy was one of ambition, strategy, and the creation of a powerful coalition that shaped European history during a time of upheaval. See other notable members. While Vlad and Sigismund are the most famous names associated with the Order of the Dragon, they were far from the only influential members. The order attracted a range of kings, princes, and nobles from across Europe, each of whom played a role in its mission to defend Christendom. Among these members was King Alfonso V of Aragon, whose dedication to the order's cause was seen in his defense of Europe's Mediterranean borders from Ottoman and Moorish threats. John Hunyadi, another key member, was a Hungarian military leader who became a national hero for his victories against the Ottoman Empire. Hunyadi's tactics and leadership were instrumental in slowing the Ottoman advance into Eastern Europe, particularly during the Siege of Belgrade in 1456. His loyalty to the Order of the Dragon was a driving force behind his actions, and his legacy is still remembered in Hungary today as a symbol of resistance and bravery. Prince Stefan Lazarevic of Serbia also carried the banner of the order proudly. As a warrior poet and one of Serbia's most respected leaders, he balanced military prowess with cultural contributions. His involvement with the order not only solidified alliances between Serbia and Hungary but also made him one of the leading defenders of the Christian faith against the Ottoman Turks. These figures, alongside countless lesser-known knights and nobles, formed a network of resistance against the rising power of the Ottoman Empire. They shared a common goal, to protect Christian lands, but they also served their own dynastic interests. Many of these men were rulers of small, vulnerable states that were constantly under threat. Membership in the Order of the Dragon gave them access to a powerful coalition of allies, which was crucial in defending their territories. Through these key members, the Order of the Dragon grew into an influential force in medieval Europe. Each figure brought their own strengths to the order, whether it was military might, political savvy, or sheer determination to protect their people. What united them all was their commitment to defending Christendom and their loyalty to the dragon symbol that defined the order. While Vlad the Impaler remains the most infamous member of the Order of the Dragon, he was not alone in wielding power under its banner. Several other European monarchs and nobles were part of this exclusive circle, each contributing to the order's legacy of fierce defense against enemies of Christendom. Among these was King Alfonso V of Aragon, a key figure whose influence extended beyond his Mediterranean kingdom. Alfonso joined the order with a strategic mind, recognizing its power as a political alliance. His membership was not solely about religious warfare but about maintaining control over key territories and aligning himself with other powerful European leaders. Alfonso's role in the order was vital for securing political alliances, particularly in southern Europe, where Muslim forces still posed a considerable threat to Christian lands. Another notable member was Stephen III of Moldavia, a prince who fought tirelessly to protect his lands from both Ottoman forces and internal threats. Stephen was known for his fierce independence and reluctance to bow to any outside powers, but his membership in the Order of the Dragon signified his deep commitment to the cause of defending Christian Europe. Under the order's influence, Stephen led numerous successful campaigns to preserve the autonomy of his principality, reinforcing his reputation as a national hero. We cannot overlook Sigismund Korybut, a prince of Lithuania and Poland, whose membership in the order came at a time when Eastern Europe was a battleground between Christian and Muslim forces. Sigismund's allegiance to the order bolstered his military campaigns, aligning him with other prominent members whose combined forces helped hold back Ottoman advances. These figures, alongside lesser-known but equally dedicated nobles, formed the backbone of the order. Their combined efforts created a powerful network that transcended borders, uniting disparate Christian leaders under a common banner of protection and loyalty. Each brought unique strengths to the table, whether through military prowess, political cunning, or sheer determination, all with one shared goal: to defend their faith and their lands from an advancing enemy. Becoming a member of the Order of the Dragon was no simple feat. It wasn't enough to be a noble or a military leader. You had to prove your loyalty and dedication through an intense initiation process. These ceremonies were shrouded in secrecy, designed to bind members in unbreakable oaths of allegiance. The initiation was not just about joining a society, it was about swearing an eternal bond to protect Christendom and each other. During the initiation, new members were often blindfolded and led to a hidden chamber, where the most senior members of the order awaited them. A solemn vow was required, sworn upon relics of the saints or sacred scriptures. The oath typically included a promise to never betray the order or its members, to fight to the death for their brothers, and to uphold the values of Christianity against all threats. The blindfold would then be removed, revealing the order's emblem, often prominently displayed, the dragon symbol, an unmistakable sign of the fierce protection they were sworn to uphold. The initiate was then marked with a symbolic cut, sometimes drawing blood, signifying their willingness to sacrifice themselves for the cause. After this, the new member was given a medallion with the dragon insignia, a token that granted them full entry into the order's inner circle. This medallion wasn't just an emblem, it was a reminder of the deadly serious commitment they had made. The symbols of the Order of the Dragon were more than mere decoration, they were imbued with deep, hidden meanings. Chief among these was the dragon itself, which represented a dual nature, protection and destruction. In Christian mythology, dragons were often seen as adversaries of saints, creatures of chaos and darkness that needed to be defeated. However, for the Order, the dragon symbolized the fierce defense of faith, with its ability to destroy enemies and safeguard those who were loyal. The color red featured prominently in their insignia, symbolizing both the blood of Christ and the blood they were willing to shed for their cause. It was a color of vengeance and sacrifice, a constant reminder that their mission was not peaceful but one born of conflict and survival. Other symbols used by the Order were more subtle. The sword, often crossed beneath the dragon emblem, represented justice and swift retribution, while a coiled serpent could sometimes be seen in hidden motifs, symbolizing both wisdom and the secretive nature of the group. These symbols were worn as part of their attire, subtly indicating allegiance to those who knew how to recognize them. The rituals of the Order didn't just involve military oaths and political alliances, there were darker, more mystical elements that whispered of the supernatural. As a society deeply influenced by medieval Christian beliefs, the Order was also steeped in the mysticism of the time. Stories circulated of members engaging in secret meetings under the cover of night, where they performed rituals not only to protect their land but to gain supernatural assistance in their battles. In some accounts, members sought out relics with supposed magical properties, objects said to grant invincibility in battle or visions of the future. While no concrete evidence remains, the very nature of their secrecy fueled rumors of occult practices. Some said that certain members of the Order had connections to ancient knowledge that allowed them to communicate with spirits or otherworldly forces. One particularly intriguing tale comes from the time of Vlad the Impaler. It was said that before his campaigns against the Ottoman Empire, Vlad would retreat to secluded monasteries where he would engage in rituals to summon protection from beyond this world. Whether these were purely Christian prayers or something more sinister remains a mystery, but many believed Vlad's almost superhuman ability to hold back overwhelming forces could only be explained by his access to otherworldly powers. The Order of the Dragon thus walked a fine line between faith and fear, religion and mysticism. Their members were seen not only as warriors but as men with access to hidden knowledge and supernatural power. This combination of martial skill and mystical protection gave them an aura of invincibility that persisted even as the world around them began to change. The Order's dark side is what kept people intrigued. Were they merely protectors of the faith, or did they delve into forbidden practices to achieve their goals? While history may never fully uncover the truth, the legacy of the Order of the Dragon remains as enigmatic as the secret rituals they swore to uphold. The Order was more than just a secretive group, it was a well-connected network of power, drawing its strength from its influence over European monarchies and dynasties. Imagine a time when marriages weren't just personal unions, but strategic alliances that could shift the balance of power between nations. The Order's members, many of whom were kings, princes, and high-ranking nobility, often used their membership as a way to strengthen these alliances. Through arranged marriages, political deals, and covert partnerships, the Order had a hand in shaping the future of Europe. Take, for instance, the marriage alliances between Hungary and Poland. Sigismund of Luxembourg, the Order's founder, was not only the King of Hungary but also the Holy Roman Emperor. His marriage to Mary of Hungary, who ruled over Poland, was a calculated move to solidify power in Central Europe. The Order used such connections to create a web of alliances that crossed borders and royal courts, ensuring that their members had influence not just in one country, but across an entire continent. The political strategies of the Order went beyond marriage. They were known for supporting monarchs who aligned with their goals, often playing a critical role in placing key figures on thrones or removing rivals from power. In some cases, members of the Order would work behind the scenes to manipulate court politics, acting as advisors or even whispering in the ears of kings and queens. By doing so, they could subtly guide decisions that would benefit the Order's broader goals, ensuring that their members stayed in positions of influence. Over time, this influence spread far beyond Hungary and Romania, reaching into the courts of Germany, Italy, and beyond. The Order's members acted as mediators in disputes, brokers of treaties, and guarantors of peace, or war, depending on what served their interests. They cultivated a network of loyalty among Europe's most powerful families, and in doing so, positioned themselves as indispensable to the survival and prosperity of the continent's ruling class. One of the most significant roles the Order of the Dragon played was in defending Europe against the Ottoman Empire. As the Ottoman forces expanded westward, threatening Christian kingdoms, the Order's mission took on an urgent, almost apocalyptic significance. The Ottoman Empire's expansion wasn't just seen as a military threat, it was viewed as a challenge to the very existence of Christendom. In this context, the Order rallied its members to take up arms in what was essentially a holy war. Their campaigns were not just about defending borders, they were about defending faith and culture. Members of the Order participated in numerous battles against the Ottomans, with some serving as military leaders, others as financiers or strategists. Sigismund himself led several campaigns, motivated by a personal sense of duty not only as a monarch but as the head of the Order. The Battle of Nicopolis in 1396 stands out as one of the most dramatic examples of the Order's involvement. Though it took place before the official founding of the Order of the Dragon, Sigismund's leadership during the battle laid the groundwork for what would become the core mission of the Order. The battle was a disastrous defeat for the Christian forces, but it underscored the need for a more organized, dedicated resistance, something the Order would embody in the years to come. In the following decades, the Order continued to fight the Ottomans, but their efforts weren't limited to the battlefield. Diplomacy played a critical role in their strategy. Members of the Order, often acting as emissaries, would negotiate treaties, broker alliances between Christian states, and even reach out to the papacy for support. They were constantly trying to unify Europe against what they saw as a common enemy, often attempting to smooth over the political rivalries that divided Christian rulers. However, despite their efforts, the Ottoman Empire proved a formidable foe. The fall of Constantinople in 1453, despite the Order's best attempts to rally Christian forces, marked a turning point. It signaled not just the loss of a key city but a shift in the balance of power that the Order would struggle to contend with in the years ahead. As the 15th century progressed, the world in which the Order of the Dragon operated began to change. Political landscapes were shifting, and the nature of warfare and diplomacy was evolving in ways that made the Order's methods and influence less relevant. Internally, the Order faced its own struggles. The exclusivity that once gave it power became a source of division. Members vied for personal influence, leading to internal conflicts that weakened the order's unity. Moreover, as the need for religious military orders declined, so too did the influence of the Order of the Dragon. The rise of nation-states meant that rulers became more focused on national sovereignty and less on broader European unity or religious solidarity. The Reformation also dealt a blow to the order. As Europe divided between Catholic and Protestant camps, religious-based orders like the Order of the Dragon found it harder to justify their existence. Their mission, once rooted in the defense of Christendom, no longer had the same resonance in a world where the Christian Church itself was fracturing. By the mid-16th century, the order had largely faded into obscurity. Its members, once powerful kings and nobles, had moved on to other organizations or simply retired from the public eye. While the legacy of the Order of the Dragon persisted in certain parts of Europe, particularly in the legend of Vlad the Impaler, it was no longer a driving force in European politics. Yet, the fall of the order wasn't the end of its influence. The stories, symbols, and ideals it represented lived on. For centuries, the emblem of the dragon and the tales of secretive, powerful elites would inspire not just historical accounts but myths, literature, and conspiracy theories. Even today, the legacy of the Order of the Dragon remind us of how power, secrecy, and faith can shape the course of history in ways we are still trying to understand. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Order of the Dragon is how its most infamous member, Vlad the Impaler, became forever linked with the legend of Dracula. Vlad III, who ruled Wallachia during the 15th century, earned his terrifying nickname due to the brutal methods he used to defend his kingdom, especially his preferred punishment of impalement. But it's the deep ties between Vlad's legacy and his membership in the order that give this story a darker twist. Vlad the Impaler wasn't just a vicious ruler. He was sworn to the Order of the Dragon, an organization whose very symbol, the dragon, represented a fierce, almost supernatural sense of protection and loyalty to the Christian faith. Vlad saw himself as a protector of Christianity against the advancing Ottoman Empire, a duty given greater significance by his membership in the order. The dragon symbolized his right to defend his homeland by any means necessary, even the ruthless acts for which he became notorious. The blood-soaked legend of Dracula, as we know it today, has roots in these historical truths. Vlad's monstrous reputation as a torturer and executioner was twisted into something supernatural by later storytellers. Bram Stoker's Dracula may have been a fictional vampire, but he drew heavily from Vlad's brutal reign and the dark reputation associated with the Order of the Dragon. Stoker even borrowed Vlad's familial name, Dracula, which means son of the dragon or son of the devil, linking the real man to his Gothic, mythical counterpart. The dragon of the order was reimagined as a creature of the night, casting a shadow over vampire folklore that endures to this day. Films, novels, and TV shows continue to draw on this myth. From Bela Lugosi's portrayal of the Count in the early days of cinema to modern interpretations like Castlevania and Dracula Untold, the story of Vlad and his ties to the Order of the Dragon have proven irresistibly powerful in pop culture. The dragon, once a symbol of protection and royal duty, has morphed into an emblem of darkness, fear, and immortality. Vlad's name has become synonymous with the eternal vampire, a transformation that highlights the enduring legacy of the Order's influence on myth and legend. The rituals and exclusivity of the Order of the Dragon did not die with the medieval period. In fact, it is believed that many elements of the Order lived on in later secret societies, including some of the most well-known, like the Freemasons. The secrecy, the coded symbols, and the intense loyalty among its members found echoes in societies that came afterward. One of the clearest signs of the Order of the Dragon's lasting influence is the symbolism of the dragon itself. In later organizations, like the Freemasons, dragons appear as symbols of power and wisdom. This creature often represents both the ability to protect and the potential to destroy, a duality central to the Order of the Dragon's ethos. In these later societies, we also see the use of ritual initiations, oaths, and secret symbols that echo the original Order's practices. But beyond symbols, the Order's lasting influence can be seen in how modern secret societies operated with a hidden hand in world politics. Like the Order of the Dragon, which quietly influenced European rulers and defended empires from within the shadows, groups like the Freemasons have long been rumored to exert significant power behind the scenes. Whether these rumors are true or not, the idea of secret societies shaping world events, something the Order of the Dragon undeniably did, has captivated imaginations for centuries. What's more, many secret societies, like the Illuminati and even the Skull and Bones, have adopted the same kind of hierarchical structure, cloaked rituals, and selective membership processes that defined the Order of the Dragon. These groups carried forward the belief that true power should be kept within a select group of individuals who understood and respected ancient knowledge. This concept, deeply embedded in the medieval order, continues to inspire fascination and speculation in today's secret societies. The dragon has always been a powerful symbol in human history, and in modern culture, it continues to stand as a representation of strength, rebellion, and transformation. In the case of the Order of the Dragon symbolized the fierce defense of one's beliefs, and over time, this symbol has taken on broader meanings in literature, films, and even in modern organizations. Take, for example, how dragons are used in contemporary fantasy works. Whether it's J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, where the dragon Smaug represents greed and destruction, or George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, where dragons symbolize both power and the ability to bring about change, the mythical creature is constantly associated with those who seek to control or overthrow empires. It's no accident that these stories mirror the legacy of the Order of the Dragon, where members swore to protect their kingdoms at all costs, even if that meant using their power to destroy their enemies. In modern times, the dragon has also become a symbol of rebellion. From biker gangs to political movements, the dragon is often used by those who see themselves as outsiders fighting against the mainstream. This spirit of rebellion can be traced back to the Order of the Dragon, whose members were sworn to fight against enemies both foreign and domestic, and to protect their cause from anyone who threatened it. The dragon as a symbol of transformation also holds true, as dragons in many cultures are associated with renewal, just as the Order of the Dragon sought to transform the fate of Europe through its clandestine actions. Even in business and leadership circles, the dragon is often used to represent innovation, daring, and the courage to take risks. The Order of the Dragon thrived on secrecy and power, using their dragon emblem to unite members who shared a common goal of protecting and leading their empires. Today, that same idea carries over in corporate logos, mascots, and branding strategies that use the dragon as a symbol of fierce competitiveness and ambition. From pop culture to politics, the influence of the Order of the Dragon lives on through the continued power of the dragon symbol itself. It has transformed from an ancient emblem of knightly honor and protection into a multifaceted representation of power, rebellion, and transformation in the modern world. This cultural shift shows just how far-reaching the impact of the Order of the Dragon truly is, touching everything from secret societies to Hollywood blockbusters and personal brands. Through this exploration of myths, legends, and pop culture, it's clear that the Order of the Dragon left a lasting legacy not just in medieval politics but in the stories and symbols that continue to shape our modern world. Whether it's the real-life impact of Vlad the Impaler, the echoes of the Order in today's secret societies, or the enduring power of the dragon symbol, the influence of this ancient order is still felt in unexpected and fascinating ways. Throughout history, few organizations have held as much intrigue and hidden power as the Order of the Dragon. Established during a time of great upheaval, when empires were at war and religious identities were being defended, the Order stood as a force of both protection and fear. Its members were not just military leaders, they were rulers, influencers, and people who controlled the destiny of entire regions. The Order didn't just defend against external enemies like the Ottoman Empire, but also maintained internal power dynamics, ensuring that loyalty to the crown, and to the Christian faith, remained paramount. One of the most enduring aspects of the Order is the way it balanced its public mission of defending Christendom with its darker, more secretive operations. It was not just a military brotherhood, it was a network of individuals who operated behind the scenes, shifting the balance of power, forging secret alliances, and engaging in covert actions that often remain undiscovered to this day. Their legacy lives on, not just in the history books but also in the cultural stories we tell, like the legend of Dracula. Their influence has trickled down through time, with traces of their tactics and symbols visible in later societies. From Vlad the Impaler's brutal but effective methods to the subtle, strategic maneuverings of lesser-known members, the order shaped the way power was wielded in Europe. In fact, some might argue that their secretive methods of operation laid the foundation for modern secret societies, which continue to thrive behind the closed doors of power. Looking back at the Order of the Dragon, it's clear that their existence teaches us much about the nature of power and loyalty. The Order's members swore oaths of allegiance that transcended mere politics or religion. Their loyalty was to an ideal, one that they believed justified the extreme measures they took. This kind of unwavering loyalty, however, often came at a price. Many of the Order's members became so entangled in the pursuit of maintaining their power and defending their cause that they blurred the lines between good and evil. This duality is key to understanding the complexity of the Order. They were, after all, protectors, but also destroyers. The lesson for us today is to remain vigilant about the ways power can be used and abused. Secret organizations, both ancient and modern, often present themselves as champions of a cause, but their true influence may stretch far beyond what the public sees. For modern-day secret societies and covert groups, the playbook established by the Order of the Dragon is still relevant. Their use of symbols, secrecy, and rituals became a model for how to consolidate power discreetly, and their willingness to operate in the shadows without ever revealing their true agenda is something we see echoed in organizations today. As we reflect on the Order of the Dragon, it's important to remember that history is often written by those who hold power, and the stories we hear might only scratch the surface of the full truth. The Order existed at the crossroads of history, where faith, power, and ambition collided, and their legacy is a powerful one. What makes their story so captivating is the tension between their public mission and their secretive actions. On one hand, they were sworn to protect Christendom from its enemies, and on the other, they were agents of fear and control, operating behind the scenes. This duality reminds us that those who shape history are often more complex than we realize. So as you think about the Order of the Dragon and its lasting impact on history, ask yourself, how many of these secretive forces continue to shape our world today? And how much do we really know about the groups and people who pull the strings of power? If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Order of the Dragon, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support helps us continue creating content that explores the hidden corners of history and unearths the mysteries of powerful secret societies. Share this video with anyone you think might be intrigued by these stories of power, loyalty, and mystery. This is just the beginning. In future videos, we'll be exploring other secret societies that shape the course of history, like the Knights Templar, the Freemasons, and more. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories about the organizations that worked in the shadows, shaping events from the medieval era all the way to the modern day. By subscribing, you'll ensure you never miss an episode of these thrilling explorations into history's most secretive and powerful groups.